After a puppy was returned to the shelter for the 7th time, the staff made a shocking discovery. Benji, a beautiful and energetic 4-year-old dog, had been adopted and returned to the shelter 7 times, each time with little or no explanation. What was wrong with Benji? Why were so many families rejecting this poor dog? One night, a staff member decided to take Benji home, leading to a shocking discovery. Despite his small size, Benji was a happy and friendly dog who adored attention and playful with people. His affectionate nature made him a favorite for adoption, yet each family would return him within 3 or 4 weeks. The staff at the shelter were baffled why Benji kept being returned, especially since the family's explanations were inconsistent. One family said he wasn't a good fit. Another mentioned changing their minds. Some found him too energetic, while others claimed that he didn't want to go for walks. One family even said Benji wasn't friendly enough, which the staff found hard to believe. There was no clear reason why Benji was repeatedly returned. He seemed like the perfect dog, yet something about him didn't work for these families. Determined to solve the mystery, a young student working at the shelter volunteered to take Benji home and observe his behavior in a different setting. She had always gotten along with him, enjoying his high energy and happy personality. She loved fussing over him and playing with him during her shifts, thinking he was both funny and cute. It seemed like a perfect match. Clara gently guided an overexcited Benji into a carrier and carried him to her car. She couldn't help but smile at his enthusiasm, but she felt a bit nervous about how things would turn out. Were all the families right about Benji? Was there something wrong with him? Did he act differently when he was away from the shelter? Clara hoped none of this was true. When Clara arrived home, she opened the cage and let Benji come out at his own pace. She didn't want to rush him or make him feel uncomfortable, so she left the room and took care of her other pet while Benji gathered the courage to explore his new surroundings. After about a half an hour, the little dog slowly began to step out of his cage and look around. Though he was an excitable and energetic dog, he was also curious about new places. He started sniffing around and eventually made himself at home, running around the room and happily barking at everything. This was the Benji that Clara knew. Eventually, Clara returned to the room. As she opened the door, her old dog Maxwell and one of her cats Lizzie followed her in. Immediately, Benji's behavior changed. He charged at the 2 new animals, baring his teeth and growling violently. Despite his small size, he was certainly intimidating. Lizzie quickly leapt out of the way, but Maxwell, unable to react as fast, retreated behind Clara. Startled by the sudden chaos, Clara quickly ushered her cat and dog out of the room. Then, as if by magic, Benji suddenly transformed back into the happy, hyperactive dog she knew from the shelter. It was so strange. This was when things started to click in Clara's head. All of Benji's previous owners had not given good, consistent reasons for returning him, but perhaps they were covering up his violent behavior. She made a mental note to investigate this theory as soon as she arrived at work the next morning. For now, Clara made Benji comfortable with food, water, and blankets, and she made sure to triple check that the door was closed. She didn't want any fights breaking out overnight. Fortunately, the next morning arrived without any disturbances, and Clara headed to the shelter for her day's work. Upon her arrival, she immediately accessed Benji's file, meticulously tracking down the details of all his previous owners. Clara was resolute in her mission to unravel the mystery surrounding Benji's behavior. She began making phone calls to each of the families who had once taken Benji into their homes. It quickly became evident that all of Benji's previous residences had other pets, confirming Clara's suspicions. Each family recounted instances of Benji exhibiting violent and aggressive behavior towards their other animals, leaving them no choice but to return him to the shelter. It also became clear that none of the families wanted to get Benji into trouble, or worse, see him put down. To prevent such outcomes, they had concealed his violent behavior, hoping he might eventually find a family better suited to him. Finally, everything made sense to Clara. There was a common reason Benji kept being returned, and the best part was that she could do something about it. She could attempt to train Benji to be less hostile towards other pets, teaching him to coexist harmoniously and happily with other animals. With successful training, Benji might finally find a family that would love him and keep him forever. But the big question lingered. Would the training actually work? Sometimes dogs are unable to change their behaviors, no matter the amount of time and energy invested in them. Clara desperately hoped that Benji didn't have the aggressive traits that some dogs do. Taking cautious steps, she initiated their introduction by allowing Benji and her other pets to observe each other through a gate. While her pets exhibited keen curiosity, Benji's demeanor remained staunchly hostile, characterized by incessant barking and attempts to bite through the barrier. As days passed, tension hung thick in the air, fostering the fear that Benji might indeed be irreversibly predisposed to pose a danger to other animals. Yet, against the odds, a slow change started to happen. Over time, Benji began to get used to being around his fellow companions, which was very different from his earlier hostility. For Clara, it felt like she was witnessing a miraculous transformation right before her eyes. One evening, Clara experienced a heartening sight. Her cat Lizzie, peacefully coexisting in the same room as Benji, engrossed in playful antics with a ball. This marked a significant milestone in their journey towards harmony. Buoyed by this progress, Clara mustered the courage to allow her dog Maxwell to freely enter and reunite with Benji once more. As Maxwell sauntered into the space, Benji's reaction was a mix of uncertainty and wariness. Though used to Maxwell's scent, Benji hesitated, unsure of how to react. However, during this cautious meeting, Clara felt comforted by the fact that Benji showed no signs of aggression. This was a hopeful sign that her beloved pet might become friends in the future. Has Clara succeeded? Has she truly transformed Benji into a more animal-friendly dog? Doubts lingered as she observed Benji cautiously approach Maxwell. Anxiety gripped her. Was Benji about to attack? Her fears dissipated in an instant when she witnessed a heartwarming scene. Benji began to sniff Clara's old dog, and soon his tail was wagging with enthusiasm. And in no time, the two dogs were joyfully playing with the ball, chasing each other around the room. They didn't show any aggression or unfriendliness. It seemed like they'd been friends for a long time. As the play session came to an end and the dogs settled down to rest on Benji's bed, an even more surprising sight unfolded. Lizzie, the family cat, approached and gave Benji a few affectionate licks before curling up contently between the two dogs. The scene was really touching. Clara felt proud because of all her hard work and dedication had resulted in her pets getting along peacefully. The moment arrived for Clara to take Benji back to the shelter, where he would once again be put up for adoption. However, an unexpected feeling overcame her. She didn't want to say goodbye. During the time Benji had spent with her, Clara had formed a deep bond with the little dog, and it was evident that he had grown equally attached to her. Benji looked like he really enjoyed being with his new friends, both dogs and cats. Faced with the thought of parting ways with Benji, Clara made a momentous decision. She resolved to be the one to adopt Benji, offering him a permanent, loving home. The bond they had forged was undeniable, and Benji had seamlessly integrated into her family. The idea of returning him to the shelter now felt unthinkable. Clara knew that Benji belonged with her, and she was ready to make him a cherished member of her family for life. Initially, Clara had her reservations about Benji. She wasn't entirely sure how well he would fit into her household, or if she could manage his behavior. But her time with him taught her an important lesson. If you give enough love, attention, time, and most importantly, proper training, big changes can happen. Through consistent effort and patience, Clara provided Benji with the guidance he needed. The results were remarkable. Benji not only improved, he flourished. He evolved from being a dog with uncertain prospects into an exceptional companion. Benji became more than just a good dog. He became a truly great one, embodying the success of Clara's dedication and care. How would you have managed a dog like Benji? Would you have had the patience to handle his mischievous behavior? Or would you have opted to return him to the shelter? I'm eager to hear your thoughts and experiences. So please, share your opinions in the comment section down below. I'm Mickey V. Have a great day.